And a very warm welcome to our SABC3 viewers who have just joined us. I'm Frances Hurd. We continue with the full view. Political parties are about to come under scrutiny. The Information Regulator will embark on an assessment of their compliance with the Promotion of Access to Information Act, or PAIA. An amendment of the PAIA on the 1st of April last year creates an obligation on all political parties and independent candidates to record, preserve and make available information on their private funding. To discuss, we're joined by Ntsum-bed-zeni Nemasisi, who is the executive of PAIA or PAIA, responsible for the enforcement of the Promotion of Access to Information Act. Thank you so much for being with us. This evaluation has reportedly just been launched. What exactly will it be looking for?
Good evening, and good evening to the viewers at home. Indeed, the assessment that we're conducting, we're looking at different aspects of compliance with PAIA. As you know, that the right of access to information is the most powerful right, in which if you are denied access to the records, you will not be able to exercise any rights. So what we're looking at now, we're looking at whether the political parties have created, they've compiled the PAIA manual. We're also looking at the political funding. In terms of PAIA, they are required to keep records of their donations above the prescribed threshold of 100,000. And if they do not keep those records, obviously they will not be in compliance. So in terms of our powers as the information regulator, we're looking as to, do they keep those records of political funding and the names of those people who have funded them? Obviously, we're looking at those funding above the prescribed threshold. So what we've done is that all the political parties that are represented in Parliament, they are going to be assessed between now and the 30th of June. And that's the assessment that we are conducting. We started on Friday with the ACDP.
All right. And of course, we've been following what the Electoral Commission has been saying. It's been reporting on what it receives from the political parties. So just looking at one of the quarters last year, Action SA 17 million or so, the ANC 7.5 million, the DA 35 million, the EFF 150,000. Some were surprised that was quite low. Do you believe that the political parties are generally complying?
We from our side as the information regulator, we are not regulating whether they are properly disclosing the donation or not. For us, it's whether they are keeping the records of donation. The IEC is the one that look as to whether the donation that is being declared, it's a proper declaration as required by the Political Funding Act. For us, it's just to check only once they've declared, are those records available at the political parties? Are they available at their website? Are they available at their offices? As we walk into those offices, for example, ACDP, we assessed them on Friday. We found that they were not compliant at all with the PAIA. But in terms of political funding, they did not disclose anything in the previous financial year, and therefore we could not assess them whether they've got records or not, because they did not receive any funding that is above 100,000. So, but in terms of other aspects of the legislation, we found that they were generally non-compliant at all. We obviously were looking at other political parties like your ANC, we're going to assess them. The DA, as well as your Good Party, those will be assessed the 29th of May as well, where we're going to check whether those records of political funding, are they available? Have they kept them? Are they available on their website as well? Because that's what the law requires them to do.
Very quickly, we're going into elections next year. I mean, how important is this for voters, do you believe?
Definitely, and that's the main reason why we started with the political parties now. Because you remember the Constitutional Court have issued a judgment that the political party are actually receiving public funds, and therefore they need to disclose their political funding. The records of political funding or donations that they receive is very important for the voters who are going to vote for those political parties. And that's why the information regulator, as the leader in terms of access to information, we want to ensure that the voters have got access to all the donors who have donated money to the political parties, so that they can then exercise their rights properly, knowing who is funding these political parties. So it is important for the voters and the public out there to know who is funding these political parties, and they can only become aware of that once they have access to those records, that they are supposed to have them at their offices, at their website as well, and upon request when those people request those access. So it's important that political parties, they keep those records, proper records, to enable the public to be able to exercise their rights now that we're going to the election in the 2024.
All right, thank you very much. Ntsum-bed-zeni Nemasisi, PAIA executive responsible for the enforcement of the Promotion of Access to Information Act.